Welcome to the Charleston CFO Council. This organization was co-founded in 2015 by Robert Bendetti and Mark Carmichael in order to provide a networking and educational forum for senior financial executives to share best practices, to discuss current financial issues, and to learn about current topics related to the performance of their job.
Good afternoon, Bob. How are you doing today, sir?
Great, Robert. How about you?
I'm doing well. We were just talking before I hit record about working remote, and I'm sort of getting used to this. You've probably been doing this longer than I, but thanks for taking some time to speak with me today.
I appreciate it, and I've watched the previous member profile reviews, and I think they're very well done.
Well, I've got some new tech. I've got a different webcam. I don't know if audio is going to be better or worse, or my video better or worse, but we'll see how this goes. When I'm done, I'm interested to see if it's a little bit better than before.
Fire away.
So Bob Lowe is the owner. He's me, myself, and I at Navigent Consulting, fractional CFO, amongst other things. After about 20 years at 3M and many other senior level positions. And something interesting that I found out about you, I am a lowly green belt, but I think you are a master black belt in Six Sigma. Is that correct?
That is correct. Got fully trained as a black belt and then a master black belt with 3M Company.
Wow, congratulations.
It was a wonderful experience.
Question number one. What is your favorite business book and why?
Yeah, great question. This wasn't a tough one to answer because I've read a lot of good business books. And so I thought, sticking with the Six Sigma thinking, there's a book called The Goal by Eli Goldratt. And actually there's a series, but The Goal is the first book. Not sure if you've heard of it. Originally out in the mid 80s, but updated ever since then, using the theory of constraint in operations management to increase flow through a factory. And I had it, and it really uses a kind of live example through the entire book of Eli consulting with a manufacturing director of someone that had issues getting their plant profitable. And one thing I would say is it's one of the few business books that I was able to put into practice years ago. We had a huge constraint in a manufacturing facility in Seoul, Korea. The factory was on strike, and that factory supplied automotive assembly plants. And you know what happens if you shut down an automotive assembly line? It's penalties, penalties, penalties. And so we had to basically quickly double production in another facility extremely fast, which we were able to use some of the theories from that book to double that capacity and maintain the steady supply to the automotive factories. So great success. It was one of the few books you can say, oh, this chapter applies here. Let's go ahead and try to get things done in it.
It's a good book. I love this. There's a story in the book about hiking with teenage boys. I think it was Boy Scouts. My son's a Boy Scout, and it is so true. It is so true. You need to have one of the slower boys in the front, or everyone else wants to kill him because he's wandering way in the back.
Right. That's it. Yeah. That's called The Chain. That is called The Chain, the book. So great analogy there.
Question number two, what is the best business advice you ever got?
Yes, another great question. And I'll say this, an elder gentleman, mentor of mine, he was a CFO of a fairly large manufacturing company in Ohio. And he said one thing to me. He goes, Bob, just because you are expensed in the G&A line does not mean you should avoid going to see customers. And I looked at that somewhat puzzled. I'm the CFO and I provide, counsel to the CEO and my peers. And he says, well, how are you going to do that if you don't really understand the business? And who better to learn it from other than customers? Okay. You can ask them, why are you using our products? What do we provide that is value add and you'll pay for? And what costs do we incur that are not value add that you will not pay for? And we would go back and attack that non-value add so we can improve our profit margins. And he also said, bring the customer in to your manufacturing facility. Let them tell the people that make the product, that do special packaging for you, why it's so critical, so that they go home and tell their spouse, you know what, I have a part of what's in that end product. This customer told me what they're using it for. They take a special interest into their heart. So he said, spend 10% of your time with a customer. Think about that as a CFO. That's 2 to 3 days a month. Okay, that's full days, and you're just you got to get out of your comfort zone to go do that and talk to a sales rep and say, don't just take me to your greatest customers in the world that are going to say you're doing great, 3M's or 3M. I said 3M because a lot of time it was with 3M customers, but you know, your company is great. Tell me what is wrong with our company that you need to see improved, because you're the guy that's paying our bill.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, thank you.
Action right there, Bob.
Right.
Question number 3. What's a new habit or a new tool that you've recently started using that's been beneficial?
I got 2 of them for you on that one. One is a non-business tool, and that is I've got an app that I use every morning for 10 minutes. It's called Calm. It's a meditation app. Okay. So I meditate. I've never meditated in my life, and you know, we're high, fast-moving people. That 10 minutes to start my day meditating is thinking of nothing. You're just thinking of breathing, and it's been wonderful to calm my mind to get the day going. The second tool from a business perspective, which I started using at 3M, and now I'm beginning to start to take that into my clients, is a tool called Salesforce.com. You've heard of it. However, you say, well, why does a CFO need Salesforce.com? Here's an example. A company launches new products all the time. They incur costs with product developers, application engineering, manufacturing time to run prototypes, launch package and marketing communications spend. They spend all this money on a launch, and the only way you can track it is through revenue generated by that new product. Well, Salesforce.com allows you to understand what's your pipeline look like. What does a typical customer application look like? You can use it to pay rewards for your sales reps for successful launch. So Salesforce.com is a great tool for CFOs to also learn about their business, you know, but most important, what is the pipeline? How effective has been the new product launch? So those are 2 things I would say, 2 new tools, one non-business, one business, that, you know, I've found very beneficial to me.
They kind of tie, right? Having that leading indicator of the CRM and the pipeline, right, what might be backlog and revenue, that'll bring you calmness. That would help you meditate as the CFO. If you have the ability to that, I think those are together.
Exactly. Thanks.
Question number 4, what's the best part of your job as a fractional CFO and at your new gig?
Yeah, great question. Spending time with my clients obviously is the best. Now, again, you can spend time looking at acquisition profiles with your CEO, looking at, you know, risk management strategies, looking at exit strategies of things, you know, capacity planning, but also spending time on the factory floor if it is a manufacturing plant. And I'm going to give you an example why it's important to talk to operators. I was out on the factory floor of this one client that basically took wide rolls, put it through a slitting machine, and slid it down to narrow rolls at, you know, let's say 2,000 foot a roll. So I was talking to this operator, and he goes, I've got a question. He says, I go, what? He goes, so we run a job. I put my roll on the back. I run it through my slitter. I slit it down to 2,000 feet, and I stop. I go to the back end of my machine. I cut off that big wide roll that we used as the input, put my next job up, run that through, wrap it around my existing job, and send it down to get packaged. He says, aren't I giving, you know, that's roughly an extra 20 feet. He says, aren't we giving the customer 20 feet for free? I go, yeah. He goes, why don't we do 1980, stop, do that change, and pull that on? Now, that's 1% waste improvement, okay? But there's 11 slitters, 2 shifts, 30 jobs per shift accounts for a lot of money. And so that means spending time on the factory floor, talking to an operator and rewarding that person for that. It's not just a pat on the back. This could be a compensation award. It could be something else. The reward that guy eventually got because he's so good is the company's going to pay his college. Think about that. Fabulous.
Yeah. Awesome. What is something about yourself you'd like to share that I didn't mention beforehand?
Sure. Great question. And so you can probably look over my shoulder there. You can see a family tree. Okay. I have 10 siblings.
It's a little out of the frame now.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's up there. Okay. I have 10 siblings. I've got 8 brothers and 2 sisters.
Wow.
Okay. Both my parents are very healthy. They're in their high 80s, and my father's a Korean War veteran Marine. Raised as boys like we were in the Marine Corps. But what did I learn as a part of being in such a big family? It is you have to be very, very creative and succinct and passionate in your communication, because you can only speak a short period of time. And for you to get across what you want done, a goal you want to accomplish, something that you need help with, you need to speak very passionately and very quick, because you'll get over, from the loudness of the others. And it's interesting because this 11 children are 13 years apart, oldest to youngest. And we have everybody to choose their own way. Everybody went to college. We have a 7th grade teacher and a CEO of a public company, all as part of that family. And so what I learned is that succinct communication and passion.
That's good. I never can put the two together that, like, I'm an Italian, big Italian family. Sundays, everybody's together on all sides, and how many people there were. How maybe that's why I talk so loud, because you had to talk loud. I can't imagine if you have. How many brothers and sisters did you say?
I've got 8 brothers and 2 sisters, so there's 11 of us. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be quick eating. You got to be quick talking. Yeah. You're a very efficient man. You're in the right place.
Great.
Last question is, what did I not ask that I should have, and what's your answer to that?
Great question as well. And so I thought about that one, and I thought, here's a good question that I think your audience would like an answer to, and that is, what was it like for you as the CFO of a $65 million manufacturing company negotiating the sale of a company to $30 billion 3M company? And I would say this, we knew we needed to invest $10 to $15 million in the business to get it to $100 million. I had owners of the company that I'm not sure they were ready to take that risk, and so we knew we were competitors to 3M. We were also competitors to Avery Dennison. So we were playing the two off against each other, but we knew 3M would offer more money. And so, but I actually had to play both investment banker and CFO as part of that deal. Okay. So heavy negotiations with 3M, needed to make sure EBITDA was right first. Okay. And what's important about that is I had to, if I would not have gone through the P&Ls and said, well, 3M doesn't need to pay country club fees that we pay for you owners, and these beautiful cars that we pay for you owners, and these exorbitant salaries that we pay for you owners, I added that back immediately. And if I would have waited until after the letter of intent, after negotiation, after due diligence, I come back and say, hey, we got to add, $200,000 to our EBITDA. That would have been much more difficult than saying up front, I've already adjusted that out. We know you're not going to incur that cost. And I've got the right lawyer involved. So we went from letter of intent to close within 4 to 6 months. For a big company like 3M, that was fairly quick. And obviously, as you said, I've joined 3M. I wasn't hired at first. I was hired to integrate the business. And then 6 months later, I was offered a job with 3M. And it's probably one of the most rewarding experiences, I've had is combining my small private financial background with big 3M.
Well, Well, that's a testament to you. It's an unusual thing during an acquisition, the acquiring firm as a CFO to be retained.
Right.
For you to play both the CFO and the investment banker role, so you're having to be tough during some of those discussions, and then to be able to, they want you to transition over and offer you a position. That's a compliment to you, Bob.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Robert.
Well, this has been fantastic. I've learned a lot. I got some new tips and some tools I'm going to try. I'm going to check out that meditation app. I just appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I enjoyed it and look forward to seeing others as well. Thank you, Robert. I know.